Commander Alexis Kane stood in the crystalline observation deck of the Terran Embassy on Proxima Station, her reflection fractured across the quantum-reinforced panels. Behind her, the diplomatic chamber buzzed with the encrypted chatter of 12 species, all gathered to witness the signing of the Outer Rim Accords, a treaty that would divide resource-rich asteroid belts among the major powers for the next century. Admiral Vorik of the Kryn Empire entered with his usual theatrical arrogance, his bioluminescent scales pulsing with contempt. The Kryn had dominated this sector for generations, and they treated the negotiations as mere formality. Earth was the upstart, barely 2 centuries into its interstellar age, and Vorik made certain everyone knew it. The human delegation agrees to Section 12, Alexis said, her voice steady as she transmitted the signed holodocument across the conference table. The data streams materialized in shimmering columns of light. Vorik's primary manipulator appendage swept across the display, dismissing it. Section 12 grants Terra 3 mining nodes in the Epsilon Belt. Unacceptable. You will accept 1. The agreement was 3, Alexis replied. We've already withdrawn our claim to the helium-3 deposits on. The sound echoed through the chamber like a crack of thunder. Vorik's scaled hand had struck her face with calculated precision, not enough to cause permanent damage, but sufficient to send her stumbling backward. The chamber fell silent. Every recording device, every diplomatic witness captured the moment. This was no accident of translation or cultural misunderstanding. This was deliberate humiliation, broadcast across 12 star systems in real time. The message was clear: humans were inferior, expendable, unworthy of respect. Alexis's cheek burned where his claws had grazed her skin. She touched her face, felt the warmth of blood. The Kryn delegates chittered with amusement. Vorik's translator rendered his words with smug satisfaction: know your place, mammal. Time seemed to compress. Alexis's training kicked in, not her diplomatic training, but something older. Something earned in the asteroid mining colonies where she'd grown up, where disputes were settled with fists before lawyers, where respect wasn't given but taken. She closed the distance between them in 3 steps. Her palm connected with Vorik's facial crest with every ounce of strength her genetically optimized muscles could deliver. The impact generated a shockwave that shattered 2 observation panels. Vorik's 7-foot frame lifted off the deck plating and crashed through the holographic conference table, scrambling the quantum encryption protocols and sending cascades of corrupted data across the station's mainframe. But that wasn't what changed galactic borders. When Vorik struck the far wall, his Neuralink crown, the ceremonial device that connected him to the Kryn consensus mind, shattered. And in that moment of disruption, the carefully maintained facade of Kryn unity collapsed. The crown had been transmitting constantly, feeding Vorik's aggressive negotiations back to the consensus, which had been puppeteering his every word. Without it, something unexpected happened. Vorik laughed. It was a sound no one had ever heard from a Kryn official, genuine, unfiltered, free from the consensus's control. By the void, he said, his voice his own for the first time in 40 years. That felt real. Within hours, the revelation spread. The Kryn consensus wasn't unanimous, it was enforced. Dissenting voices had been suppressed for centuries through the very neural links that supposedly connected them in perfect harmony. Alexis's slap had done what diplomacy never could: it had created a glitch, a momentary window where truth escaped. The Outer Rim Accords dissolved immediately. 6 Kryn colony worlds declared independence within days. 3 others formed a coalition with Terra, seeking protection from the consensus's enforcers. The borders that had remained static for 500 years redrew themselves across star charts. Admiral Vorik, his crown destroyed and his mind finally his own, became the first Kryn ambassador to Earth. He wore the scar on his facial crest like a medal. You didn't just slap me, he told Alexis during their first official meeting in the rebuilt embassy. You slapped an empire awake. Alexis Kane's hand would be studied in military academies for generations, not as an act of violence, but as the precise application of force at the exact moment when a system's equilibrium was most vulnerable. 1 slap. 12 species watching. A galaxy that would never be the same. Sometimes, she reflected, the most sophisticated weapon isn't a quantum torpedo or a gravity well. Sometimes it's just knowing when to hit back.